Hey, Chris Crawford here, and I'm excited to give you this lesson on finding your ideal audience. Because, look, I know you have something great that you want to share with people. I know it could change their lives. And I know that you feel that thing. And I always talk about this because we feel that pull in our heart that we have something to share. We have this purpose in this world. We want to impact lives. We want to create change. We want to get our stuff out there. Maybe it's a book, a course, training, workshops, live speaking, whatever it is, you've got something that you want to get out there. Now, if you've heard my other talks, you know that the most important piece is getting your message down. The message is more important than the marketing. People focus on the marketing all the time, but the marketing is how you deliver the message. The message is the most important part, right? Makes sense. If people hear the right message, they'll attract to it, they'll align to it, they'll come to you, they'll want to work with you. It is the key piece. It's the piece that most people miss, and the reason that most businesses struggle, and the reason most marketing doesn't work. You can't hire someone else to create your message, or it would be their message. It's kind of like if you're going to build a house, you've got to create you've got your vision, you got to create your blueprint first, and then you hire someone who can build that blueprint, build the vision, right? And so it's the same thing here. You've got your vision of what you want to build. You've got something in your heart. You've got this purpose. It could change the world. It could change lives. And you've got to get that down, and then you can give that to people, and it is the thing that gets in the way of people growing their businesses. Okay, that's my rant on that. Now, if we're going to create a message, the first piece that we need to think about is who is our audience that we're designing this message around. And I love this lesson because this is one of the most uncomfortable pieces that business owners, change makers, game changers, people like you and I run into when we're trying to do our stuff. Because what's going to come up is FOMO. Now, here's the thing. Why is this important? If I want to share a story with someone about growing their business, about what's going to create impact, that story has to be relevant, right? So, like for example, if I share with you how I was so unhappy at this job for years, and I tell this story all the time. I was at a job and it wasn't bad; it was just okay, but I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't feel like I was living in my own purpose, my potential. It felt like Groundhog Day. I was just working and waiting for the weekend and spending money on stuff I didn't need and spending money on credit cards and whatever else. And I was just unhappy and unfulfilled in this job. And what was I going to work till retirement? See, you and I know that that's the lie, right? That's why we're doing this stuff, is because we want to live a life of freedom. But I was afraid and I didn't have an idea and I was stuck there. And it took courage for me to finally get to that point where I was like, that's it. I've had enough. I'm out of here. I can't do this anymore. And I quit and I started my own business. And I just went for it. And everybody told me I was crazy and they couldn't understand what I was doing. I didn't feel supported by anyone. Can you relate? You know how tough that was in that situation to finally get the courage up to go for it? I know you know what I mean. But then once I quit, I didn't make any money for a while. And see, when I tell that story, you can relate to it, right? You're like, oh my God, dude, I know what you're talking about. I know how you feel. And it's our stories, because the journey you have been on to get to where you are is what has to go into your message. And your ideal audience will align with the stories that you're going to share. And when you tell a story that aligns with that person and it speaks to their why and it speaks to what they have going on, like for me, when I talk about how hard it was after that, and I was struggling and broke, and credit cards maxed, and behind on money and bills, and oh my God, it was so tough. It was so brutal. I was almost bankrupt repeatedly, but I didn't quit. And it clicked for me, and I figured out how to get the message and how to take off. See, when that clicked, everything changed. And it's through that story that you can identify. And that's why our ideal audience is most important, is because we've got to be able to look at the different pieces that are going to connect with them and are going to align. Okay, so it is crucial. Now, here's the first piece that I want you to think about. The first part of the lesson is make a list of all the different types of people, or some of the different types of people that you could work with. Okay, so oftentimes people will go, well, everybody's my customer, or business owners are my customer, or these huge groups that it's so hard to drill down deeper. Now, I want to urge you to have at least 3 to 5 specific different customer types. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you will have different types of customers. And the way that you group your customers it could really vary, depend on you, your industry, the business, what it is you do. Like in my printing company, our different customer types are brands like huge companies, marketing firms, resellers, business owners, and weddings. And so we have like these are different groups. And for marketing, I could maybe look at entrepreneurs, maybe people in specific industries, maybe how I go into like for coaches and writers and authors and trainers. So I could start to break down by these different groups, right? So I want you to make a list of the few different types of clients that you typically work with, and you can pause this if you need to while you make that list real quick, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Pause. All right. Did you do it? Did you do the exercise? Did you take a second? It should only take you like a few minutes. Although for some of you, it may take actually a bit of brainstorming. It's crucially important to do this. So next, what I want you to do is I want you to draw a little grid, and we're going to score each one of these going across the page. And here's the columns that we want to score them on. One is that you love to work with them. Okay. Now the next one over is that they relate to your past, your experiences. They're on a similar path to you. The next one is that they have the money to spend. Um, and then the last one I would say is that they actually really want or are looking for or ready for what it is you have. So when you look at those different columns, here's what I want you to do. I want you to score in each column a 1 to 10. Now, 1 means not at all. So if it's like you love to work with, you look at this client type, you're like, I don't really love to work with that client. Or this is the client I love to work with, put a 10, 8, 7, whatever it is, and go across and score. So you love to work with on a 1 to 10. They relate, they relate to your past, your experiences, your stories, whatever. 1 to 10. Um, 1 to 10 on they have the money to spend, and that it's a pretty interesting one. And 1 to 10 on that they really need it or they're ready for it now. Okay, and so then you can tally all those up at the end and get your scores. Now, I'm not going to say that you should just focus on the ones that have the highest score. I'm not going to tell you that. Um, that may be, but you've got to look at what's most important for you. And the point of this exercise is not that the number is the answer, it's to get you thinking about the different factors of the different types of people you work with. So, like, there was a time in my business where, so back, like I said, we had consumer brands, we had marketing firms, weddings, resellers, business owners. And so, what I found then was that for the products we were creating, like, the weddings actually didn't really have the money to spend. The marketing firms kind of grinded us a little bit on price too, but the brands had the money. So we were struggling profitability wise and we really needed the cash flow. So they had the higher score, which could make it easier to look there. Now, what I really think though, what's most important when it comes to building your message is that you look at the ones that align with your past and you love to work with and have the money. Like I know we're looking for all of it, but really if you can get someone that really aligns with all those pieces, that's your ideal. Because then as you tell stories, they'll align and you're going to have great experiences and on and on and on. So take the time, do this exercise, go through these few. You may over the next little while need to just sort of brainstorm out, well, who could your potential customers be, and what are the different ways to group them? Maybe it's by industry, by age, by marital status, by education, by sex, by income, by industry they work in. I mean, there's so many different ways that you may want to classify them, but you've got to find yours, score them, because the next step of what we get into is we start to dissect that one that you've chosen and we start to go deeper into what is the psychology of that person and their current awareness, because what we want to do is look at, are they aware of the problem that you have? If they're not, we want to think about that as we create a message, because the key is we've only got like 5 steps here, and as we work our way through these steps, you'll get to a point where you're super clear, you know who you're talking to, what you're talking about, what their awareness is of the problem, what the message is, what the offer, all of that. And then your marketing is so easy after you've done this. It is super clear, because one of the other things we'll look at is based on that audience, where are they? Like if I know I'm going to go after consumer brands versus marketing firms, that may guide where I go and do my marketing. Like maybe for one of them, maybe it's in one location, but maybe the other, maybe I can go to events that they're at. and maybe like we've gone to some events where marketing firms were actually what we were targeting marketing firms at one time, and we would go to events where marketing coordinators were, and we'd walk away with hundreds of leads. Like it'd be off the charts. We got contact from Panasonic one time at one of these events. Panasonic came on and they became a client. We did a national launch of a new shaver that they were releasing, and we did this huge campaign with them because we were at an event with those marketing people. So, but that's like a few steps down the road. You've got to go through this. So, if you're doing the free training version, then go through this. I'd really urge you to sign up, take the rest of this course, or reach out and talk to my team about what options may be here for you with us to help guide you through all the steps so we can really design the message to these people that's going to be powerful. If you're already in the course, amazing. We'll see you in the next session.